Welcome to Extraordinary Women TV with Shannon Skinner. I'm joined by Janeen Halliwell, who is organizing an incredible event to celebrate International Women's Day in 2012 in Isla Mujeres, Mexico, called We Move Forward 2012, which she's here to talk about today. And later in the segment, before we take a break, I'll have my regular Good to Know Minute when I ask my guests for their top success tip. You'll hear Janeen's. Well, hello.
Hi, Shannon.
It's nice to have you here.
Thank you for inviting me.
Now, you live and work from a suitcase.
I do.
For 27 years, Janeen has volunteered, worked, trained, and led organizations that focus on improving lives. Janeen is also spearheading the We Move Forward 2012 event, celebrating International Women's Day 2012 next March on the island of women in Mexico.
Yes.
What a perfect place to have an event celebrating International Women's Day.
It's the perfect place, the island of women, absolutely.
So let's, before we talk about the event,
Okay.
of course you're Canadian.
I am Canadian.
And you spend a lot of your time on Isla Mujeres.
I do.
And traveling.
Yes, I work both in Canada, and when I can work remotely, I do it from Isla Mujeres. Yes.
Now, you graduated from Carleton University.
I did.
And then you embarked on a career of helping people.
Yes, mostly, yeah. So I started here actually in Toronto. I started working in a women's shelter for homeless women, and I did that part-time as well as worked with children and adults with developmental disabilities.
Right.
And that really is where my career path ended up following that path and supporting people with disabilities for a number of years, yes.
Why such an interest in people with disabilities? I mean,
Okay. I think because there's courage there, and as well seeing people overcoming their challenges and being able to provide people the tools and support to do that is really rewarding. Yeah.
It really touches the heart when we can see someone who is really experiencing a challenge, and then we can do something that can help them get over that challenge.
Absolutely.
Something in our human psyche, I think, that really embraces that.
Yes. Yeah.
So now, so you've been working for about 27 years.
I have been working for 27 years, yes.
Helping others. What took you to Isla Mujeres? And I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly.
Sure.
Yeah.
What actually took me there is I made a conscious choice of unplugging from my consulting work.
Right.
And to help my husband, who's a professional yacht captain. He was moving a boat from Puerto Vallarta to Ensenada.
Oh, wow.
And I went on board for the first time as a cook, not a chef,
Okay.
a cook. I was clear about that.
Yeah.
And that was a lot of fun. When we got off in Ensenada, we had some time, so we decided we wanted to explore a part of Mexico we hadn't been to, which was the Yucatan. So we flew from Tijuana to Cancun and rented a car and made our way. The first place we stopped was Isla Mujeres, the island of women. And like so many others, we were charmed. It is a very unique, beautiful place that is this quaint tropical island that's quite removed from the hecticness of Cancun.
Well, of course, I've been to Isla Mujeres last year. I went to Wright.
Yes.
And I'd heard a lot about it. And I love it there. I mean, what a wonderful paradise.
It is.
It's very, it's kept its authentic Mexican nature, and it's safe. And I have a story. Can I share my story?
I would love to hear your story.
Okay, so I'm on Isla Mujeres. It's my very first night. I'm the only guest in this entire hotel on the one island, the end of the island that's very remote. So I'm the only guest. It's about midnight. I open my door, go up my balcony. I think I'm going to just experience some, wonderful sound of rolling waves and whatnot. It's a little windy, and the wind slams my hotel room door shut. Of course, it was locked. So there I was, locked out on my balcony, all by myself. The hotel, this big sprawling property. It was windy. It was a little spooky.
Right.
And I tried to become MacGyver. I tried to, break in. I thought maybe jumping down off the balcony might be wise, but I really quickly realized that would not be such a good idea.
Right.
And finally, after calling for help, and somebody finally, the security guard on the other side of the property heard me almost an hour later and came to my rescue. So my first night in Isla was almost spent completely out on the balcony. So that was my great experience, but I loved it there. There's the temple.
Yes.
Of,
yes. So there's on the south point of the island is the Mayan temple of the goddess Ixchel. She's the goddess of women, healing, fertility,
Right.
and abundance.
So now let's talk a little bit about, well, what's life for you spending
Like
some,
there.
like, being
Okay.
in this paradise?
Okay. So, well, it's paradise to me for a number of reasons. The obvious reasons for most visitors is the turquoise waters, the tropical breeze, the palm trees. Those things always sort of capture us in a romantic way when we first visit. But for me, it's paradise because children can still play on the streets at night. I live in Colonia La Gloria, and it is very much a neighborhood. It's very active, it's interactive, and it's dynamic. And it's a safe neighborhood. Isla is very, very safe. So I can walk around the neighborhood any time of day and feel very comfortable.
Right.
And I also drive a motor scooter, so I spend approximately $4 a week on fuel. That's paradise. And more importantly, I think it's paradise for me because when people show up there, fall in love with it, and decide to move there, everybody goes through a process of creation. And I watch people come in and say, what isn't here that I could create so that I can stay? So people venture into restaurant businesses and bookshops and all sorts of things. So instead of looking for a job, they create themselves.
Well, that's fantastic. I mean, it's such a wonderful place to be, and you're right. I mean, there is a sense that you feel safe.
Absolutely.
Even when I was out on my balcony,
That's right.
all by myself that night, I actually, still in an odd way, I knew I would be okay.
Right.
So now let's talk about the event. We
Okay.
move forward 2012.
Right.
Now, why did you choose Isla for this event? And let's talk about what the event is.
Okay. So, well, actually, it all started, I was walking around what's called Salina Grande, which it means a big lake, and
Right.
in the neighborhood. And I had been talking to a few friends on Isla about opening a side business for business-type retreats. There's a lot of yoga retreats on Isla, but not business types. And professionally, I work with organizations around leadership and strategic planning. So I thought, well, this would be a great place for people to come and do that. And then I thought, well, rather than wait for our first customer, what if I actually demonstrate self-directed leadership, something I teach, and take a risk and actually host the first event? And what would that event be? And the light bulb went off, and it was, well, an IWD event. I've been to a few, and wouldn't it be wonderful to have an International Women's Day event on the Island of Women, and especially in 2012, because Isla is in the heart of Maya land, and there is the temple to the goddess Ixchel on South Point. And contrary to a lot of theorists who are saying in 2012 the world ends, the Maya actually say that their calendar is circular, and in 2012 it's actually a time to move forward, that we evolve as individuals, as women, and as community.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of fear, fear mongers
right.
out there, and fear spreading about
That's right.
2012 and the doomsday. People are starting to speak up and whatnot, but no, you're seeing it in a very different way.
Absolutely, yeah.
So then, what will the retreat? What will happen during this retreat?
Like? It's a very active 3 days. So
You've got fantastic speakers lined up.
we do. Would you like to hear about the speakers?
Yes,
okay.
let's hear about the speakers.
Okay, so it's a blend of activities. So first off, it's for women that are really looking to reach their potential. And so we've invited featured speakers who provide a good example of women that have reached their potential. There's quite a strong Canadian content. We have on the first day Wendy Cruson, who is an accomplished Canadian actress.
Yeah, really well known. She's
very
done
well
very
known.
well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So Wendy, I'm
Living the dream.
Yes, yes, and I'm thrilled. So she is coming, and she's going to speak to her dream of being. She was an aspiring actress as a young woman. And there's many of those out there. So what was it that took her and helped her reach success as an actress? And then she's also going to speak to some of the amazing women that she has had the honor to portray as an actress, such as Sue Rodriguez, for which Wendy won a Gemini Award, as well as most recently, she just finished filming in South Africa with Jennifer Hudson for the Winnie Mandela history pick, and she plays a white activist for the anti-apartheid movement, Mary Botha. So she'll speak to those types of women that are strong women and good examples. On the second day, we have Melissa Fung, another Canadian, and an accomplished journalist with CBC.
With quite a story.
With an amazing story.
Right.
And I just had finished reading Melissa's book, Under an Afghan Sky, and it touched me very deep, emotionally, and I would say spiritually.
Of course, this is her story. She had been kidnapped while she was covering Afghanistan,
That's
which was
right.
on Seoul, and she was kidnapped for about a month.
Yes.
And now she's written about her personal experience.
She did.
So, very touching.
It's very touching, and what's amazing to me is I've read some Dalai Lama, and he speaks to tolerance, acceptance, and ultimately compassion. And Melissa lived her values all the way through to compassion. And
Right.
I was so impressed with her spirit and her ability to try to understand and to actually forgive her captors, because she was able to go in and understand their reality.
This is incredible that you were able to get, these are only two of a number of amazing women to come and speak, but
Yes.
Wendy Crewson, Melissa Fung, who else do you have speaking?
We have Bal Arneson, who is the spice goddess.
Yeah.
And Bal has an amazing story. She grew up in India, was in an arranged marriage in which she left and moved back to Canada, or moved to Canada, I should say, and taught herself English and made sure she got herself a good education, and has been a successful author as well as a TV host.
And you also have this woman's story, too, about traveling around the world with her husband, sailing
Yes.
with the two kids.
Yes.
And her name is...
Pamela Maddox.
Right, yeah.
So I met Pam and her husband and their two kids in Trinidad. I was on a sailboat sailing with my husband. We were working, again I was cooking, and Pam was first mate, and they have traveled on their boat 45,000 sea miles.
Wow.
And they have two adopted Chinese daughters, and they sailed them to China, where they tied up their boat, went inland, and volunteered at a orphanage for children with special needs.
You know, what inspiring women.
Absolutely.
So what else will you have as part of this retreat then? Obviously you've got the speakers. What else could women expect?
Right. So I think that's what makes this event unique and so appealing, is that we have featured speakers that tell their story, but we've also included really a skilled set of facilitators, people that I work with that also have their degrees from Royal Roads and are leadership consultants, and they are going to be working with participants in participatory interactive exercises that help them identify for themselves clarity around their personal vision, their values, and as well finding their voice, so we all get to share our story, and also working on our vessel, our actual physical health. And there we, that team, the Mindful Movement team, is led by Kim Krauscher, and Kim is a Canadian who also, her family spends a lot of time on Isla Mujeres. And Kim presents worldwide doing Pilates as well as yoga types of activities, and we have a wonderful team of yoga and movement experts that actually live on Isla Mujeres that are going to be working with the women over the 3 days too. So it's a very blended experience.
Very, very strong in the Canadian presence.
It is, yes.
With women there.
Yeah.
So the dates are in March?
The dates are March 8th is the actual International Women's Day.
Yeah.
And it runs March 8th, 9th, and 10th. Yeah.
How can people find out more information about the event?
So how they can find out more about the event is going to our website, www.wemoveforward2012.com.
Well, thank you. We're going to take a break, and when we
Okay.
come back, we'll talk a bit more about it. But this means it's my Good to Know Minute.
Okay.
And Janeen, I know that you've got a great tip for my viewers, so just jump right in there.
Okay. So my tip is beware of self-doubt. It will try to creep in either on its own or with the help of others. Recognize it, let it be known that it's not welcome here, and instead think possibilities and welcome in people that are going to seat themselves in your cheering section. And listen to them and ask of them their opinions and their feedback along the way. And be sure to listen to the voice your voice of possibilities rather than the self-doubt. Because if I'd listened to the self-doubt, Shannon, I would not be sitting here telling you about the event.
Well, thank you so much for that.
Okay.
Well, we'll take a quick break, and when we come back, more with Janeen Halliwell, and we'll be talking about how you can spend International Women's Day in 2012, which is actually not that far around the corner when you think about it. So take a break, stay where you are. Welcome back to Extraordinary Women TV. I'm Shannon Skinner, and I'm joined by Janeen Halliwell, who is a Canadian who lives out of her suitcase. She's putting together, she spends a lot of time in Isla Mujeres, Mexico, which is a wonderful paradise. I've been there, I love it. And she's putting together an event called We Move Forward 2012 for women to celebrate International Women's Day on the island of women in Mexico. She's here talking to me about the event. Janeen, there's a lot of people around the world right now that think Mexico is unsafe, but this is not your thought.
No, that hasn't been my experience. Of course, there are unsafe places in Mexico, especially near the borders. We all know that.
Yes.
But there's also unsafe places just about anywhere you go in any country that you'll visit. There's places that you don't want to venture to. Isla Mujeres is not one of those. So I can assure people, you go there, there's actually a large Navy base on Isla Mujeres.
Right.
That's part of its makeup. And as well, there's a whole blend of people, and the community. I live in the Colonia La Gloria, which is a Mexican neighborhood, and I feel I'm extremely safe there. I know all my neighbors, but I can walk at any time of the day. And I've had friends from Los Angeles, for example, that were leaving Isla. They'd had a home there, and she said, "Oh no, now I'm going to be scared walking at night again, you know, depending where I venture out." So I think we have to be careful using that broad brush and saying Mexico's unsafe. I think as travelers, we always have to be conscious of traveling safely.
Of course, and there's a lot of media focus on the dangers in
right.
Mexico. But you know, I myself, having been to Isla, knew. I mean, it was absolutely safe, and never, never thought that it was anything but. So, and I know the people that lived there, they say the same thing.
Absolutely.
That's why they lived there. Some of them have told me when I asked.
Absolutely.
So, what a great place! Isn't it interesting? And it has the. That it's got the temple of the goddess of fertility and a Navy base.
That's right, yeah, there you go.
This little island, both.
Yes.
There's a feminine, there's a masculine.
There is a feminine, masculine there. Yeah, very, very competing energies, for sure.
Now, we're talking a little bit about your event that you've got coming up, and it's really quite unique. What else could women expect if they attend?
Sure. So I think what's important for me is the event itself sort of symbolizes what the purpose is. So for myself, it came as an idea. And with an idea, you know, we look for support because I couldn't have thrown this event by myself. That takes a lot of courage, but it also takes resources and a huge skill set. So a lot of people are throwing their support at this event and getting very excited, and they're offering up their skills because they want it to succeed. And the event itself is about that. It's about identifying for yourself places maybe professionally or personally that you want to go. You know, what is your potential and how do I get there? So what women can expect when they participate, again, is being inspired by other stories. Those are the feel-good pieces because it tells us you can do this. It's a possibility, right? It's achievable. And then, like I was saying, the interactive, the facilitators are going to guide you through activities that even start before you actually physically get to Isla. A Canadian woman named Christy Andrus, has put together what's called a note to self. And when women register in their email box, they get the note to self to begin that process of self-reflection and looking at what is my desired future. So it starts that process, but we kind of keep the second part until you get to Isla. So when you get there, you're going to get a journal, and then we carry forward and move you forward through more of that exploration because you're going to be participating in workshops that maybe take your thought process and provide you with some of the answers that you weren't expecting. So it's going to be it's going to be an experience. You're not going to be in the audience as much as you're going to be participating. And again, there's the movement pieces. And Kim's encouraging people to sign up for ones that maybe they typically might have not gone there before, and to step out of their boundaries a little bit.
And of course, getting to Isla is not difficult at all. You fly basically to Cancun and you take a ferry over to the island.
That's right.
It's not difficult at all. Get a cheap flight. Accommodations are fairly inexpensive on the island.
There's a real blend of accommodations on Isla Mujeres. So they go from a hostel for the very economic traveler, and as well they go up to 5-star hotels. And we actually have 2 women that have accommodation services that we're recommending. They can help customize your stay, so that if you're coming with friends or even as a single, we can match you up with somebody else.
You really are living the dream, aren't you? You're able to travel, sailing around the world, living part of your time in paradise. Of course, you get to spend some time here with friends and family in Canada. Right. That's quite a dream for others too. You know, you're living that dream. So congratulations to you.
Thank you. Thanks.
Now, before our time is up, I have one last question.
Okay.
How would you, as a woman now who's, as I said, sailed, you've seen a lot of the world, you're living in paradise, you lived in Canada, you've had a successful career, how would you define success?
Success for me is when you can look around at where you are at that moment in time and feel very satisfied about where you are physically, who you're with, and how you got there. I really firmly believe that our values should guide our actions. And Deborah before me mentioned kindness, and I think kindness is key, and good intentions.
So that's Deborah Ellis, the author.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that. So again, the dates of the event are March 8th, 9th, 10th, Isla Mujeres, Mexico, easy to get to. I would absolutely love to be there myself, so I have full intention of being there, so check it out. Again, the website is wemoveforward2012.com for more information or to contact Janeen. Anything else that you wanted to add?
No, just it's going to be more than an event, it's going to be an experience that I think will really add to your life.
Well, thank you for coming here today. I know it was last minute. I heard that you were in town, and I said, oh my God, we've got to get you on the show. So glad that you were able to do that.
And thank you so much for the opportunity, Shannon. It was a pleasure meeting you today.
Well, we're going to take, sorry, actually, this has come to the end of our show. I was going to say we're going to take a break, but this is the end of the show. So for more information about upcoming shows or to contact me, please visit the website at extraordinarywomentv.com. Very, very special thanks to Jennifer Wu out there. Thank you for helping me out. And also to Cindy Miranda. And if you are interested in transforming your life, I hope these stories have inspired you. You've been watching Extraordinary Women TV. I'm Shannon Skinner. See you soon.